Microphone testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is Jin Namgung speaking to you. Brought to you by Spotify. I wish I could be sponsored by that damn thing. Okay. In the last episode of this podcast series, I was talking about how unhealthy it is to identify ourselves with the one particular culture, our first language culture. Why is it unhealthy? Because our first language identity limits our ways of thinking to certain ways that are not really helpful for us to pursue the acquisition of another language. Because our behavior, our ways of thinking are patterned within one particular social system, your first culture, your first language culture, that is. So the first thing you have to do here is you have to find a way to loosen up your first language identity. You got to loosen up. Politically speaking, be more liberal about things around you. You got to be more open up to new things, new cultural elements, new perspectives. If you're unable to do so, you have to look carefully at your personality, your personality traits, and how you think about certain things. Because if you're unable to open up to new things, you're pretty much you're already your brain already fossilized. I already talked about this fossilization of brain by our first language culture, our original culture or original social system you grew up in. So you should be willing to adopt to new ways of doing things and get ready to perceive things in a fresh mindset. And just let it seep through your mind and your core. Only then will you be able to conceptualize the world in another language. So what is the first step? You got to open up to new possibilities. And what's next step? So once you loosen up your first language identity, you're free. You're free to adopt new ideological beliefs, new perspectives. And honestly ask yourself this question: do I really like to learn this language? Am I really ready? I mean, am I willing to sacrifice my time and money just to learn this language? Is it really worthwhile? Think about it for a moment. And another question would be, do I really like the culture? Do I like to live there in the country where my target language is spoken officially? These sort of questions. And I think you should really definitely ask these questions, and just be honest with yourself. Because one of the ways to become an effective learner is to be really critical of yourself, your motivation. What is your motivation for doing something? In this case, obviously, learning another language. For me, in the beginning of my journey to learn another language, the language I'm speaking, obviously, I was sort of like fantasizing about this Western culture, I was really into like Hollywood movies and the magazines and comics and all that. So you have to like the culture of your second language, or at least there's some sort of attraction for you. Something that you like in that culture. You got to find the interest somehow, and then start from there. And then start fantasizing or romanticizing about how you could become super fluent in this language. That's a great motivation to begin with. To picture yourself in 10 years from now, how well you can actually speak this language. This is really crucial for you to understand and remember. Visualize your future self. In the applied linguistics, we call that self system. You imagine your future self and as if you're already there. Well, in the case of second language acquisition, what you want to do here is to visualize you being so fluent in this language. You have no problem communicating in this language. You have no problem reading all sorts of magazines, including Playboy, whatever. You just visualize yourself being super good at this language, and you're having fun, as if you're one of those. You're accepted into that community. We call it integration, right? So you integrate yourself into that community, which takes a while, in my opinion. Some people do it faster, but I think it will take about at least like 1 decade or 10 years. So fantasize about it, okay? What you would like to become, yeah. And you should be really positive about your future self. If you put yourself in a situation where, I don't really feel right about becoming that person, then you better not even try. You better just stay put where you are. Don't even try. You gotta change your mindset first, and then jump right in. Okay, let's assume that you have the right mindset in place already, and you have the right motivation to start learning another language. Okay, well, what is the next step? Okay, okay. At the same time, you're fantasizing about what's your future self, which is very positive, and it brings about a very positive vibe to your mood, right? Every day. Wow, I'm so excited about my future self, right? You're talking to yourself, right? And then what's next? I think one of the really crucial things that when we begin to learn something new, we have to really honest. We got to be really critically measure your current state, where you are. Where are you from? Your current financial situation and your original culture, the things that you have learned as you grew up, and some of the particulars of the original culture. What is your social behavior? Are you introvert or are you extrovert? There are so many things you have to consider. I'm not saying you have to put that into consideration, all of them into consideration. I'm not saying that. But these are the factors that you should really consider occasionally, I guess, from time to time, when you feel like, oh my gosh, I hit the plateau. I can't really make any progress anymore. When you hit that moment, it's very important to. Okay, this is really one of the advantages of being an adult language learner. We have the ability to analyze our progress, and we can correct our mistakes and errors as we observe our performance in any areas of life. I think whether it's a sports or learning another language or painting, drawing, whatever you call it. Unlike children, we have this ability to correct our behavior if we are willing to. So when I was starting out to learn this language, the English language, I was really big on movies. Like I said before, I would watch a movie, just one movie a day. So every day after school, I would literally run to this video rental store and rent a movie, and then watch in my room. I was not really thinking about learning the language. I just like the culture or the cultural elements depicted through the movies, how the characters are portrayed, these and all these imaginative pieces of information. Kind of, I don't know, thinking back, kind of seep through my mind somehow. And then when I grew up, all these cultural elements that I was exposed to as a little boy. And when I was learning this language for the first time as an adult, all these memories about the movies I watched as a little boy just brought back, and that actually helped me to pick up on the cultural elements of the West. So to recap today's episode, we briefly talked about how important it is for us to open up to possibilities and new things. Willing to adopt new cultural elements, components of your second language community or culture. And if you really want to do this for long term, you should really find something that really interests you. That will like literally permanently keep you on track and making you feel this constant urge to make progress in another language. It's where you would feel like, oh well, this is never ending. I like to master this language. That sort of mindset and desire should be in place all the time. Otherwise, you won't do it. You're gonna quit.